Hey, and we're back. I am BKP. Good morning from the office, our beautiful downtown Blue Ridge. And in this next segment, we want to remind you here in Fannin County that you are, and that's the whole idea this morning, is just reminding folks there's still an election going on. We know coming out of Memorial Day and the primary season, and some of you have forgotten about, hey, there's still a runoff taking place, and that is between in the Chief Magistrate Judge office here in Fannin County, and we have the incumbent Sherry Walker, and I have with me today her opponent in the runoff, Brian Jones. Brian, good to have you this morning. My whole ideal this morning is just to remind people there's an election, because sometimes at the primary, everybody forgets, hey, there's still an election going on. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. When you come and you sit down and you take this in, it's a great place to live, ain't it?
It is. I actually work in this town. It's a very wonderful community. I'm grateful to be here.
Now you have you're in law enforcement now. Tell us a little bit about your background. You're running for chief magistrate, but tell us a little bit about Brian Jones, your background, and being involved in law enforcement. Some of your experience.
Well, I actually started at an early age, just right in school, in a volunteer fire department as a volunteer fireman and a EMT and a first responder, and then lucky enough Walt Porter hired me to go into law enforcement. I started jailing, dispatching, run all that. From there I moved forward and got certified as a police officer, and I've been a certified police officer for over 20 years. I've worked in this community. I've worked in Bartow County. I've worked in Gilmer County. Pretty much stayed at home. I was assistant chief of McKaysville. Stayed down there 8 years. I've been in Blue Ridge 8 years. Really lucky to have worked in good departments and like it here.
Now you've decided you're running for magistrate judge. What made you decide that you wanted to move from the law enforcement side of your career to the magistrate judge side?
That actually come through a great tragedy. Our judge got tragically killed. After that moment, I decided, well, I could move up, maybe try to fill that position, keep things going as he had them. I had a lot of respect for that man, worked with him a lot of years. Actually worked with him prior to him being a judge. He was just a great man, had a lot of respect for him, thought I could fill that position, maybe keep it moving along in the same efforts and do good for my community.
Now, as far as a magistrate judge, I don't know. I try to stay fortunate enough to not know how the courts work. I would prefer not knowing how they work. So, magistrate judge, what are all of the things that take place in there, and why is it important for people to know that somebody has the experience to do that job? What are all the things that take place in the magistrate court judge's office?
Well, the magistrate judge is the people's court. It's actually a small claims court for the people. They do the issuing of criminal summonses. They do the issuing of search warrants. They do dispossessories. They do eviction notices. They do claims up to $15,000. It actually works for the people. It's a court where they can come if they have a dispute with another person. They can come and get that mediated or get it heard without having to go through litigation and maybe buying a lawyer or paying for a lawyer.
You know, I'm glad you said it like that. It is the people's court, and you know, I've seen Superior Court where people. I forget the legal name of it, but they want to represent themselves. And I've seen Superior Court judges struggle with that, people representing themselves. But in magistrate court, that's not uncommon. That's not uncommon. I'm not saying you don't see attorneys come in, but it's not uncommon to see two sides. And people have a TV thought of people's court, but you have to have the patience to bring two sides through something and not give them legal advice, but explain things to them. How do you feel you'll be able to do in the people's court with, what I say, to me it would be tolerating. Now, I'm not saying those words to you, but tolerating somebody that doesn't.
Well, I think you've got to have be common sense minded. You've got to be with the common people and understand how people out here every day function, and I do that through my investigating and working with the public every day. I think I have a great knowledge of that, and I understand you've got to be compassionate. You've got to listen to all the stories before you come to a conclusion, and be passionate about it, and be fair.
Now, the magistrate court, do you not also issue warrants? I mean, what kind of, going from the people's court, what other things in the magistrate court do you do that interacts with other law enforcement, or, from GBI to drug task force to the local city to the sheriff? What are some of the other things that you have to do to interact with law enforcement?
Well, they'll come with their applications for a warrant, and you'll look at that and make sure there's enough validity, enough probable cause. And I think through doing that on the outside, that gives me a good knowledge of how to look at them on the inside. You're going to interact with every agency, and you do it fairly. Let them come in, sit down, listen to what they've got to say, and if there's enough validity there, give them a warrant.
Okay, well, currently the magistrate court, Sherry Walker was appointed, just so our viewers know, Sherry Walker was appointed as magistrate judge after the tragedy that we all know here in Fannin County took place with the former magistrate judge. What is different in the office, or what differences would you make in the office, or do you see some changes needed in the office?
The law is pretty black and white. There's not a whole lot of room for change as far as changing the law. How you function in the office, I think I don't have a problem with how Ms. Walker is functioning in the office. There's some changes I would do. I've always said, furthering the education of everybody, I would like to offer the ladies in there that they do go to clerk school, but I'd like to offer them some further education so that maybe they'd be able to better serve the people of the county. I would like to have a on-call assistant that could step in that was as trained as I am. Should I have to recuse myself, I wouldn't have to hire an outside judge and spend any undue money. I'd have somebody already on payroll to do that.
What about when is the runoff? When is the actual election date now?
It's July the 26th, but they're starting early voting July the 5th to the July 20th.
So July 26th. Lonnie, write that down. I don't know where my 12 pencils are. It's the first time. You have something to write with, Lonnie? July 26th is the runoff date, and we have to always check to see if Lonnie's paying attention. So he's a pretty good guy.
Don't let him go to sleep.
No, we can't let him go to sleep. God knows if you look over there with those orange shorts.
Today. Usually I have a big TV that hides me from him, so I can go to sleep, but not today.
So election day is July 26th, and when does early voting start?
July the 5th, and it'll go through July the 20th.
Now, July 5th, the early voting, and let's just let everybody at home know that you have to go to the courthouse.
Yes, sir.
But now, on the runoff, all the precincts will be open again like they were?
Just like a regular election.
Just like the regular election. So, folks, on July 26th, so let's get this out here. We're going to work hard here because our goal at FetcherNews.com is to always make sure that you have the most information. And right now, what we're trying to achieve is making sure that you see the candidates, and remember the candidates are still in an election and they're still, wanting your vote. And you have to go to the polls and make this decision. It's a big one. Early date is what, Lonnie?
July 5th.
July 5th, early voting starts here in Fannin County. Now, you have to go to the courthouse to cast your early vote ballot, okay? But on election day, the 26th, July 26th, election day, you actually go to your precinct where you voted last time. So if you ask, you say, where do I vote? Go right back where you went last Tuesday or Tuesday before last, or one of those, and vote again, right?
Yes, sir.
I get that right?
That's exactly right.
So you're busy this summer, kids in basketball, and you got a little bit of everything going on.
Yeah, trying to get back out and hit the campaign trail, trying to work a full-time job, work part-time jobs, trying to make ends meet.
I try to make a living. Right?
Yes, sir. That's going to go on one way or the other. I'm still going to have to make a living.
Well, you know what? I talk all the time, young families, right now they got to put the time in. There's a struggle to try to make enough money to support your family in today's economy.
Yeah, everything's expensive. You're right.
Huh? When them kids want them basketball shoes, they're not. I'll never forget. Now, I'm not going to give my age. Not going to do that. But I actually was around for the first leather Converse when leather Converse came out, okay? And high tops. And I actually remember my dad saying he would never give $29 for a pair of basketball shoes.
Try $150 now.
Right, exactly. So, Mr. Jones, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Now, we're going to, between now and July, we're here every Friday. We're going to have candidates. We're going to have Sherry Walker come back. Maybe the two of you can come back and sit down. But I think folks just need to remember that a race is going on. Anything you'd like to say to the voters before we wrap up?
I'd just like for everybody to come back out to the polls, let them know that I did and do appreciate their support from the previous election, and I need them all back out. I need their vote and support on July 26th.
Folks, it's very important, and that's one of our goals this morning, was to make sure that you could see who the candidates are, because you hear like, well, I hear there's a runoff. Well, who made it in a runoff? Well, I think I know this person. I think I know that person. That was our goal this morning, is just to keep bringing you the information and letting you know there's a runoff and who's in the race. Mr. Jones, appreciate it. As we always say on FetcherNews.com, we wish you well and thank you for your willingness to serve. Okay? Lonnie, take us to break. We'll be back right after these messages.